What's going on? Coach Ryan here, setthepacetriathlon.com, and in this video we're going to be coming at you talking about carbon plated running shoes and are they right for you? Which ones are right for you? I've taken upon myself this year, this summer, this season to try out a few different brands, a few different models, just kind of seeing, especially on a budget, not going out and buying the Nike Vaporflies for $300 or something like that. I'm not interested in that. I'm not a professional triathlete. Therefore, I don't think I need that kind of gear, but I do like a little bit of speed, do like a little bit of efficiency, and I am on board to see if these carbon-plated shoes are really going to do the trick, or if it's just a bunch of hype and a way to get our money. So, you've seen a few teaser videos. I've done a few videos where I've got the Brooks, you can see in the background, Hyperion Elite 3, and I've got the Hoka, here you pull these down a little bit, the men's Carbon X 3 running shoes. So do notice the Carbon X3s, I believe right now it's an older model. They don't have them available. You can find them on different websites and stuff. I've got them on this website for $200 or something like that. The Brooks Hyperion Elite 3, they've come out with the 4s. So right now I'm going to assume they're not majorly different in their style and function and ability and technology. Could be completely wrong, but these are the shoes I've bought for this season, what I'm looking at. They were on sale, so I thought this was a great time to jump in those sales, Black Friday deals or whatever, get them, try them out for the season. So I'm going to go through these two shoes specifically. I've started breaking into other shoes that I'll kind of use later in the later half of the season in 2024. But I want to talk about these shoes specifically. I've done them in short distance races. I've done them in half marathons, half Ironmans, Olympic distance races, and tried them out in a couple different scenarios and situations. Just want to come back and talk about my experiences and kind of which way I would be leaning if I wanted to continue to use one of these shoes over the other ones in the rest of my races for the rest of the season. I got a few short course races, a few long course races, and keeping my eyes on the Kansas City Marathon, possibly doing that one to have maybe a PR breakout type of marathon, focusing on that for this season. So with that, we're going to dive into these two shoes and we're going to talk a little bit about tech, specs on them, and kind of the overall feel and just using the shoes and what I've seen over time. So jump into the Hyperion Elite 3 on their website. So they've still got them on their website, so they're still available even directly through Brooks. I'll post links to them as well if you want to go through and try them out. So what I like to do is kind of look at the facts of them as far as the technical specifications. As you notice, there is for the Hoka, they've got a little bit engineered knit upper lightweight, so I do want to bring that attention to the structure of the shoes. So when you look at these, the Hoka shoes are one complete, there's no separate tongue, there's just the laces, and then basically the tongue is all knit into one shoe, whereas the Brooks shoes, and we'll talk about this a little bit later and what that means for your race season. As you can see, my little hickey race laces that I've got on there kind of fell apart a little bit, but that's important too. We're going to talk about that. But as you can see, they do have a separate tongue for their shoe, and why that matters, we'll talk about that a little bit here with the race experience, especially when you're doing triathlon. That's going to be important later. But I want to look at the weight. So we got 8.1 versus 7.8 ounces. So Brooks in comes a little bit heavier, but you know, at the end of the day, I mean, they're both very lightweight shoes. They're kind of a fabric knit more than like your typical leather type of running shoes or other heavier weight materials. So do keep that in mind, that really weight-wise there wasn't that much difference. When you look at the midsole drop, 8 millimeters, 32 millimeter heel, 27, so they've got about 5 millimeter drop. So there's a little bit more drop from heel to forefoot. So you got a little bit more drop with the Brooks, a little less with the Hoka shoes. So just keep that in mind. You know, if you're looking for a lot of drop or something like that, you don't like a lot of drop, if your ankles are not going to be able to withstand that kind of difference, that's something you want to kind of be paying attention to. So you got 8 versus 5, so there's a little bit, you know, 3 millimeters. Doesn't sound like a lot, but at the end of the day, it might make a difference, especially if you've got ankle problems, knee problems, something like that. You might want to be looking at that. So the level support is neutral. I believe when you look at the Hoka shoes, they're pretty close to neutral as well. So really it's not that much difference. You're not getting the stability support that you might normally get with kind of thicker, heavier shoes. I mean, when you're looking at these lightweight materials, you're not going to get much structural support on the upper side. The Brooks are a little bit harder knit than the Hoka shoes, so just keep that in mind, that when you're wearing these shoes, you're going to get a little bit a tighter, more firm feel out of the Brooks that I've noticed. And with the Hoka, you've got a little bit more of a looser feel because it is a little bit more fabric sewn together, so you're not going to get that structure in the actual shoe. You're going to get that more in the soles, so keep that in mind. But I just want to kind of look at the technical specifications of them. At the end of the day, I'm not as much interested in that. Like I said, you know, if you're out there and you need a little bit more structural support in your shoes, carbon plated shoes may not be the way to go for you. You may need a different brand, you may need a different support, you may need other things out of your shoes, or orthotics or something like that. So this is kind of a general, I don't use orthotics, I don't need a specialized structural stability shoe or anything like that. My gait is pretty standard stuff. I think a little bit of pronation, so it's nothing too crazy, but overall I don't need the support from a shoe that these wouldn't survive or provide. So just keep that in mind, that they may not be the best stability wise. But so I just wanted to kind of go through the little technical specifications. What I like to really get into is, you know, the feel, how do I like them, you know, taking them out, taking them racing, what did it feel like? So the Brooks, I've done a half Ironman with them, or I have done 70.3 Des Moines with them. I also did a half marathon, if I don't drop my shoes. So the things I've learned with this shoe is they're really light, really comfortable. I did with the original laces, I'll post a link in the video or in the comments of that video that I did of just the Brooks shoes, just kind of talking about them. I had to replace the laces. I did it with the Hickeys, and I'll post a link to those as well. Because the original laces, while fashionable, they had little knots on them, and it was like super tight and super uncomfortable, so I had to do a different kind of system that the Hickeys allow, so I got a little bit more flexibility in my shoe. It was not pushing on the sides of my feet. So if you have wider feet, the Brooks may not be the best fit for you, but I have a little bit wider feet, but changing the laces, I was able to get that flexibility I needed out of them. So after I changed that, it became really a lot more comfortable to wear these shoes. 70.3 Des Moines, I felt really good. I did better on the second half of the half marathon run than on the first half, so I negative split. And I believe these shoes, like, if you put them on and they feel really comfortable, they feel really light, you don't feel like you're running in lead that you normally would doing a half Ironman. So like I said, these are, I mean, super light shoes. They're both pretty light, but the Brooks is right up there, just as light as the Hoka, with, you know, 2 grams or 2 ounces of difference, which really isn't, that is pretty negligible. So the things you need to keep in mind, the heel is pretty firm. So when you're putting these on in transition, the things you have to notice with the Brooks is you got to get that tongue. You can see that in there, putting that in the camera. If you can see that tongue, you got to get that just right, or else it'll be all folded up on your legs, on your feet, and cause blisters possibly, or anything like that. So you just have to be careful when you're running through with the Brooks and putting on the shoe, because the tongue is attached lower into the shoe, but here at the top it can fold over and cause a problem. So you have to take just a little bit more time in transition to get the shoe on. But once it's on and you've got it all set, it's pretty comfortable. I did not really have any problems in the half marathons I did, or the half Ironman that I did in Des Moines. Didn't really have to stop, didn't really feel uncomfortable. The shoes got me through. I felt they're really comfortable. They've got a little bit of extra padding in there. I did wear socks with these. I have trained without socks in them, and really they didn't cause that much of a problem. But when I get into long distance races, I like to wear socks with my shoes, just because you don't want to be messing with that 6 or 7 miles into the run and have to deal with that the rest of the race. Because, foreshadowing, we'll talk about that with the Hoka shoes, not quite the case. So with the Brooks, I have really positive experiences with them. I'm not normally a Brooks shoe wearer. I mean, more of an Asics kind of guy, and a Saucony most of the time. But really, these are solid options for me personally. You know, I'm top of the middle of the pack. I'm not out there. I'm not a professional triathlete by any stretch of the imagination. I'm out there doing good, but not killing it necessarily. I'm not getting on podiums per se. Local races, maybe some opportunities to get on podiums. So really, what I'm looking for out of these is longevity of my ankles, my joints, and everything. Especially in the long runs, if I do them indoor on the treadmills, I like to wear the carbon plated shoes. They just make you feel like you're propelling yourself a little bit forward. I mean, you do have the heel, where it is pretty hard to bend that heel in the sole of the shoe because of the carbon fiber. But I don't like, and we'll get more into this towards the end of the season when I kind of go over all the shoes I've tried out and kind of my take on the whole carbon plate kind of fad or situation where you want to talk about. I don't like using them for all my workouts. I have different shoes I use for different functions and different workouts. I don't like to use them for speed work. I don't like to use them for tempo work, but I do like them on treadmill and long runs. I do like them when I'm doing maybe a brick or something like that, coming up close to race day, just to make sure I'm in sync with the shoes and it feels good and I feel good in them. So the other thing too is, I've only put about 60 miles on these shoes between the treadmill and outdoors. And the one thing you will notice, those carbon plated shoes, I mean, they're built to be lightweight, but the heels and the soles they'll rub off pretty quick, especially on pavement. So you got to be careful. That's why I don't like to use them all the time, because they'll wear out very quick. So these probably have about 60 miles on them between the races and training I've done. So overall, I mean, it's a good option. I do like the Brooks. We're going to jump into the Hoka shoes. So as you can see, it's the Carbon X 3s. I believe, like I said, that this is an older model, so they are kind of phasing these out and going on to the next generation of carbon plated shoes for Hoka. But so we'll kind of go over these. As you can see, it is a one knit shoe. It is really nice because they have this little bitty hook here at the end that's nice to grab when you're putting them on in transition. You can open it up pretty easily and then slide your foot right in. Your foot gets in there, you don't have to worry about the tongue sliding around or anything like that. The one thing that I cannot do with these that I can do with most of my other shoes is I cannot run sockless. You can see closely, see the blood stains that are on here. I tried this in a local race. The course was shortened. Instead of Olympic distance, we went kind of like a modified distance, and it was only a 4-mile run. I thought I could shave a little bit of time off because it was just a swim run, no bike. So I didn't want to take time to put socks on in transition, so I thought I could get by. Turns out I couldn't. I blistered my arches in my feet, and I blistered a good spot on my heel that is still not healed a week later. So this little pad right here is not in a good spot, which is interesting because you look at the Brooks, they've got the pads too, but I don't get blisters with Brooks. I get blisters, and I got blisters trying this on breaking them in with no socks. I got blisters as well. Did not think it would be a problem. Did not learn my lesson. Pulled a rookie mistake. Did not go with socks and paid for it later. I did get first in my age group, so that's good. But that's the one kind of drawback with the Hokas is they don't feel comfortable without socks. So if you want a shoe that you're going to go sockless with, I don't know if Hoka's going to be the one for you. Unfortunately, it did not work out well for me. I mean, they're just as light. They don't feel, like I said, there's more of a drop with the Brooks. So if you look at their stats in the background here, you got 8 millimeters, and you look at the Hokas, you got about 5 millimeters of difference. But the Hokas, they don't feel like they propel you as much. Now, I mean, they're still pretty firm. I mean, it feels like Brooks is a little bit more firm on the sole. So I feel like I get a little bit more spring out of the Brooks than I do with Hokas. Don't get me wrong, they're a great shoe. If you can find them on super sale, I think they're a great option. But right now, just looking in the background, the Hyperion Elite 3s are $180 on the Brooks site, and I'll post links to those as well. And you look at the Hokas right now, and they are still selling for about $200. So, after this experience, I definitely, especially with, if prices in your forefront of your mind as well, you're saving, $20 if you find a good deal with like free shipping or something like that. I think the Brooks would be good options for you. Like I said, if you're a Hoka fan and you want to use carbon fiber shoes, it's definitely a good option, but just be aware that if you're running sockless, it may be a problem. And with the soles and the cushioning and the foam and everything like that, you still kind of run the same problem. It gets eaten up pretty quick on the pavement, so you got to be careful with the carbon plated shoes, especially when you're going lightweight. You can really run these. They both have about 50 to 60 miles on them. So the Hokas I've done in shorter distance races. I have not done them in a 13.3 or 13.1 mile run half marathon or a half Ironman distance race. More than likely, out of these two, tested some other shoes, I would go with the Brooks. I'm going to do the Kansas City Marathon, so that's kind of my go-to right now. Just because I felt like it propelled me a little bit quicker, that little bit more of a drop. And like I said, I definitely, at this point in time, with the experiences I've had with them, I would not use carbon fiber shoes as your full-time training shoe. I think it's great for race day. It's great to keep them broken in and work them in your workouts, but don't use them for speed, don't use them for tempo. And that's kind of my spiel for carbon-plated shoes for now. At the end of the season, I'll do another video. We'll just talk about some more of the shoes I've tried out, some non-carbon-plated shoes as well, and how those work out. But just wanted to kind of do a mid-season update on working with Brooks, working with Hoka, kind of my experience with them so far. And like I said, Brooks, a little bit of modification has been my go-to shoe. Hoka, still using them out of the box. If you're going to use them, if you have them, you got socks on, I would still use them. So I'm definitely going to keep them in my stable. It's not like I'm going to chuck them or anything. I'm going to keep them around. And as I cycle out of other shoes, I will keep them and use them for other races. Just maybe not my go-to shoe, especially if it's a shorter distance race, you want to go sockless. This is probably not going to be the one for you. So hopefully, I didn't bore you to death, bore you to tears, or anything like that. Hopefully this kind of helps you out and make a decision about between the Brooks and the Hoka. I like durability-wise, I think they're about the same. Comfort-wise, I would go with over the Brooks, with modifications to the shoelaces to make sure you get a little bit more flexibility out of the width of the shoe. Looks, I think Hoka is a little bit more flashy. Definitely my family was able to see me on the race course with these bad boys. Not really a problem as much with Brooks. They kind of blended a little bit, but this is the shoe that was on sale, so I went with it. So overall, like I said, I kind of go with Brooks more than I would with the Hokas right at this point in time. So again, if this helped you out, great. Give it a like, give it a thumbs up, share with your friends. Got any questions, put them in the comments. I'm all ears. Like I said, I've switched out the shoelaces for the Brooks. I've worn the Hokas a few times. They give me some nasty blisters. So if you got questions, you got problems, anything you want to know about these shoes, as I've tested them out, like I said, 60 miles-ish per each shoe. I've been on the treadmill, been on the roads with them, been in races with them. So had some experience with them. This is kind of my thoughts on them. So hopefully that helped you out. Got any questions, put them in the comments. I'll get back to you later. Good, happy racing out there, and we'll see you next time.